Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the Sovereign Ratio. In a previous video, I went through 4 altcoins that I believe are strong contenders based off of utility and risk to reward ratio for the next bull run. And today I'm going to go through 5 more, one of which is in the large cap space like the others were, and 4 more that are smaller cap coins that I believe are still going to do really well in the next bull run and could potentially have giant returns. If you're new here, please smash the subscribe and like button and leave a comment on the video. If you're not new here, please do the same thing. Please like the video and leave a comment. All right, so the first coin we're going to look at today is a little higher market cap, and that coin is Cardano. All right, so Cardano. There's a lot to talk about here. I'm going to try to keep it brief because of the nature of this video. This isn't a Cardano video, even though there's a lot to talk about. Cardano is currently sitting at number 7 on overall market cap. Cardano is one of the, I would say, oldest altcoins that it currently exists. At least one of the oldest altcoins still in the upper echelon of the market cap. Cardano is a layer 1 solution that is kind of a competitor to Ethereum. Smart contracts were recently put on Cardano. One thing, Cardano has a lot of mixed feelings, right? Cardano takes a very slow and steady approach to creating its ecosystem, and a lot of people are very, very loyal to Cardano as a community, which in itself is a really good thing for long-term or longevity in the coin, right? Versus something like Solana, which Solana is a much faster building token, a much faster building blockchain that's backed by a bunch of venture capitalists, and has had many outages. Not saying Solana is a bad ecosystem, but I'm saying I'm looking at data. I see Solana with a very fast TPS and tons of outages. I see Cardano with much less TPS and very few outages and slow and steady growth. For me, I would prefer the slow and steady growth because I know that's what big time, big money investors are going to want whenever legislation happens that regulates the crypto market, right? Whenever a company like BlackRock starts injecting tons of capital into the crypto market, they're going to want something that is proven. It's slow, it's steady, it's not had outages. They don't really care about the speed of the technology. They care about its viability and its ability to be used. Not only that, Cardano has a massive just following of people that are just diehard Cardano loyalists. I'm not one of those. I'm loyal to money. I'm loyal to gains. So for me, Cardano is a safe play. That being said, I don't really need to open up Cardano and go into what it is. It's a layer 1 blockchain that's a competitor to Ethereum, founded by Charles Hoskinson, who was one of the original founders of Ethereum. Charles is an extremely intelligent man. He also cares about his cause. I don't think Charles Hoskinson legitimately does not care about how much money he makes from Cardano. He actually cares about changing the world. Does Charles Hoskinson come off as pretentious to most people? Yes. Is he palatable for most people? No. But the fact of the matter is getting to the top, there's very few friends acquired on the way to the top. And Charles Hoskinson knows that, and what he's doing, I do believe, is fundamentally good for the crypto space. So, that being said, we're going to skip right past any other Cardano talk, and we're going to go straight to the charts. So here we are, one of the most crazy charts in crypto, in my opinion. Cardano, before this last bull run, it got all the way down to 2 cents. And at the peak of this bull run, it went up to $3.10, right? So if we I'm going to try to capture 2 cents here. That's pretty close. 2 cents up to $3. That is a 13,800% gain. That's a 138x for anybody who bought Cardano at the bottom. That is a substantial. Think about just $1,000. $1,000 of Cardano back then would have been worth $138,000 at its peak. The problem is that since then, this massive run up that Cardano had, since then, it's had nothing but downside. There have been very few relief rallies, if any at all. Like, if you want to call this candle a relief rally, I personally would not. Same with this. I mean, that's a 58%. So I would call that a relief rally because that's big enough to fit the bill. But Cardano has been on a straight, solid line down. And in my opinion, Cardano is going to stick around. Whether the technology is groundbreaking or not remains to be seen. But what I will tell you is that the developers on Cardano in the last 12 months has gone through the roof. This is just me pulling numbers off the top of my head. The last time I remember hearing about Cardano developers, the number was like 200. The last time I heard about Cardano developers was a couple days ago. It was 1,200. So we have a very strong community, and we have a surplus of developers coming to Cardano. And there are a couple of projects built on top of Cardano that will probably make my third video on the very risky altcoins, which are Cody and Paribus, which are two that I'm personally invested in. We'll talk about those later. But as far as Cardano, let's just look at the raw statistics here, right? Cardano came down and bottomed at 23 cents. I have a lot of fib levels here that I probably need to delete. There we go. So it came down and bottomed at 23 cents in January of 23. Since then, we've rallied up to roughly 46 cents. We're sitting at 41 now. And Cardano does have a resistance line here around 44 cents. It popped above it to go to 46, but abruptly came back down. But currently is holding the bull market support band, as we can see right here. Cardano came and bounced right off the bull market support band and is currently on its way up. We have significant resistance here at 73 cents. So if this bull market, if this bear market rally continues, I could definitely see Cardano coming up here to 73 cents. If we're really bullish, maybe up here to 89, 90 cents, and then coming back down to test this line of support, or this current line of resistance would be then line of support here again at 44 cents. That would be an excellent flip opportunity for an altcoin investor if that were to happen. In the long term, I think the next bull run is going to happen 2020, like May 2024 and in around November, December 2025. So let's just pull out a reverse fib here and see what we get. If we go to the previous top, all the way to the bottom, previous top on Cardano was $3. Even at $3, that would be a fantastic return of 650% just back to all-time highs. If we're using the 1618, that puts Cardano around $5 essentially. If we use the 2618, that puts Cardano at around $8. Personally, I don't see Cardano getting to $8. I could see it doubling its all-time high and getting to maybe to $6, but I'm going to play this one conservatively and just call it $5. From current price action, $5 is around an 11x, which if anyone is unhappy with an 11x, there's something wrong with you. I'm just going to put that out there. So that's how I would play Cardano. I don't think Cardano is going anywhere, but I'm also not going to write the check that it's not. I'm reactive and I'm looking at the market from what I see. So that's where we are with ADA. Okay, next token on the list today is actually going to be Vulcan Forged. So Vulcan Forged is what I would consider to be much, much riskier token. This is not something you would want to allocate a ton of capital into, although there have been some big names that have allocated capital into Vulcan Forged, like Anthony Scaramucci has a significant investment in Vulcan Forged. Vulcan Forged, think of Vulcan Forged like Activision Gaming or like Bethesda Gaming. Vulcan Forged is a gaming studio that's focused on producing games in the Web3 environment. It is generally considered to be one of the better gaming companies, I guess, for lack of better words. It's kind of like up there with Gala Games and any like Yield Guild games and Good Guild games and any other like major guild brand of games. Bad enunciation there, but that's where we are. So Vulcan Forged, it is essentially developing a plethora of games, some of which are kind of testable at the moment, some of which are NFT based, which NFT would be a different video to even dissect what an NFT is. If you don't already know, if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you do know what an NFT is. Vulcan Forged, I think, is one of the most promising gaming tokens. But again, gaming tokens in general are relatively risky at the moment. Vulcan Forge is ranked 278 and has a fully diluted market cap of $176 million, which is a relatively small market cap in the crypto space. I'm not going to say it's really small, but it's not super big either, right? The other thing about Vulcan Forge is there's two things, really. One, the circulating supply is only 54% released at this point, which means that if Vulcan Forge were to unlock tokens, that would probably make the price go down a little bit. But if we're in the middle of a bull run, that's also not going to matter as much. So proceed with caution with Vulcan Forge, but I am very optimistic about it anyway. We will look at price now. All right, so we have the weekly chart open for Kucoin on Vulcan Forge. We can see that in November of 21, Vulcan Forge did hit $48 per token. That was not necessarily at the peak of the Bitcoin bull run. So this is a little bit of an outlier as far as when it hit its peak. You can see from that point on, it was a very, very, very sharp drop after that. And then this next kind of like relief rally was in April of 22. Being that it was in November of 2021, that was far after the initial Bitcoin rally, and it was shortly after the second kind of Bitcoin second rally, which I think was actually a relief rally, even though it was higher. But then we came down for a relief rally in April, up to $19, and then a very, very, very sharp drop. Actually, right here, I think it was, don't quote me on this, but in May 2022, at some point, Vulcan Forge was hacked, and it shot down very rapidly over the course of a day before people bought it right up, and it recovered back up to where it was. I'm pretty sure this is the candle right here where that happened. It was sitting around $7, went down to $3 based off of a hack. But as you can see, since then, it's completely grinded sideways for the most part. Let's get rid of this Fibonacci and this excess stuff. Oh, we don't want to do that. Put that moving average back on. It's basically grinded sideways since May 2022. Now, based off of this chart, one would not be inclined to look at it and go, wow, this is a fantastic buy. And I'm not saying it's a fantastic buy, but if I'm going to put $1,000 into a gaming project, this is probably the one that I would put it into. Either that or Gala Games. Gaming tokens are so fresh and the product is really so undeliverable at this point. The price action is based off of people's belief and people's psychology. It's not based really off of the product being offered. In this particular case, I think this is probably the best chance that we have to see a good return on a gaming coin that makes sense from a risk to reward standpoint. We're sitting at 352. You know, we bottomed, I guess the actual bottom was here at 255 back in June of 2022. And right now, it's kind of been grinding against these resistance lines right here, right? Like every time it gets up to one of these resistance lines, it backs up. Once Bitcoin takes off, though, for this relief rally, which I believe is going to happen, we could see a pop up to around the $6.32 area in a super bullish scenario, which I do not think is going to happen, but I'm not going to say it's impossible either. In a super bullish scenario, we could pop up here to around $8 or so. And from then, I would definitely be looking for a pullback until the next bull run. So we could do something like that. We could do something like that. Or we could do something like that. Hard to say. Either way, I think if you're going to make a gaming play, this is probably the one to make. Outside of that, again, this is a very risky and speculative asset. So if you're going to play this, make sure it's not a big position, or at least as a percentage, it's not a big position of your portfolio. But I do think, again, we could reclaim all-time highs, perhaps. I don't know. This Fibonacci is going to be ridiculous when I run it, but let's go ahead and run it from top to bottom here. It puts the 1618 at $77, and it puts the 2618 at $125. I really don't see $125 happening. Most people would be satisfied with a return to previous all-time high, which would be a 13x. That is definitely nothing to laugh at. If it did hit the 1618, that would be a 21x. Again, you can't go wrong there. So if we're going to put money in gaming, this is where I would put it. All right, so on a slightly less risky play than Vulcan Forge, next we're going to look at a completely different type of coin. It's a layer 1 protocol, and that is VeChain. All right, VeChain is a token that is very popular in Asian markets, very similar to Filecoin that we looked at in a previous video. VeChain is a very interesting token in that it does things that most other tokens don't. And it's also an older token as well, which I find interesting. VeChain started in 2015, but is still in the top 100 today. It has recently become an L1 smart contract platform, which did cause a little bit of a run up. But I'm just going to read some of this information on VeChain to hopefully convey that to the audience here. So VeChain aims to use distributed governance and Internet of Things technologies to create an ecosystem which solves major data hurdles for multiple global industries, from medical to energy, food and beverage, to sustainability and SDG goals. Leveraging the power of trustless data, VeChain is the digital backbone that will underpin the fourth industrial revolution, which demands real-time and trustless data sharing between participants. Interesting thing about VeChain is when you hold VeChain, it also generates what's called VTHOR, ticker VTHO, which is like, think of that like gas. Think of that like gasoline in a car. When you hold VeChain, you get VTHO, which people can eventually use to power functions on VeChain as a platform. VTHO has an extremely low price valuation, so you're not really going to notice more than like a penny at a time when you sit there and hold VeChain. Well, at least I haven't so far, but I'm not a huge VeChain holder. I'm a modest VeChain holder. But as you hold VeChain, it accumulates VTHO, and that is yours. What that's going to be used for, I think, remains to be seen more. Either that or I'm not knowledgeable enough on it at this time. But I am knowledgeable enough to tell you that VeChain, I believe, is a solid investment. And based off of its price action, it's a little bit riskier for sure, but it does, like, the gains on VeChain are very large, and we'll take a look at that next on the price action. All right, so looking at the price chart on VeChain, we're looking at the 1 week chart. Let's get rid of the indicators and just look at price only. We can see, at least on Kucoin, we had an initial kind of just weird candle here. Let's look at the bottom here back in 2020. When we saw a price of 0.0013 cents per token, right? From there, we saw a run up of 16,700% by April 2021, which was the first peak of Bitcoin in that cycle. From there, we saw a massive drop to the tune of 80% before another run up here in November 2021, which again was the second peak of that cycle or thereabouts. From then, it's basically just been a constant drop all the way down, with the exception of one little relief rally here in March 22. But we did bottom down here at 0.015 cents per token. I think I said share earlier. I hope I didn't say share. If I did, I meant token. Anyway, so here we are today, sitting at 0.022 cents. Again, I think a clear all-time high would be a good target. That is a huge gain, though, for VeChain of 1,200%. Now, again, 1,200% is not nearly as much as the previous bull run where we saw 13,000%. So I'm going to play this one conservatively and just do a reverse fib here and see what we come up with. So to the previous low, we're looking at a 1618 of 45 cents. We are looking at a 2618 of 73 cents. I really doubt that we see a 73 cent VeChain. I could see a 50 cent VeChain because people do like nice even numbers. That is a thing. Let's take a look back to all-time highs. We're looking at roughly 11x up to the 1618. We're looking at basically a 20x. I'm not gonna lie, I could see VeChain doing a 20x because of how unique it is, its adoption in Asian markets, and its ability to produce its own gas. which is very interesting to me. I really have a strong feeling about VeChain. I'm not going to write any checks on it. I don't think you should invest as much in VeChain as you should something like Chainlink, but I do think that VeChain is a very, very interesting token that has a lot of utility, and I could definitely see this being adopted on a bigger scale. So a little bit more on the risky side, but I do think it's a solid pick. All right, next up on the list today, we have Immutable X. Immutable X is, think of Immutable X like Polygon, but solely for NFTs and gaming to an extent, because gaming and NFTs are interrelated. So Immutable X is a layer 2 scaling solution for NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain. It does away with limitations like low scalability, poor user experience, illiquidity, and slow developer experience. Immutable X also can use ZK rollups, and it also has a couple different ERC tokens. That's a different way to put it. Has two different forms of its own token. That would be for another video. But IMX actually had an issue with, had a very stark drop in price due to GameStop. And we're going to take a look at that. That will clearly be reflected on the chart. But this token would be something like Vulcan Forge, where I said proceed with caution because the gaming, Web3 gaming is just so raw and fresh and undeliverable at this point. That's the way that you should approach Immutable X. But if there was a gaming token that was not a gaming developer, it was think of Immutable X like Unreal Engine. If there was an Unreal Engine, this would be the best one, right? So let's take a look at the charts and I'll show you what happened with GameStop. All right, so I actually had to go to a different exchange to be able to display this. I went to Binance and pulled up the Binance records for Immutable X. What happened was Immutable X and GameStop had some sort of agreement. I don't know what it was. I don't really care what it was. What I know is that GameStop was awarded a large sum of Immutable X tokens. And as soon as they received them, GameStop sold every one of them. And the price just shot all the way down to the floor. And I'm going to take a guess based off of what I'm seeing. It's somewhere on one of these two candles. Because if you look at these two candles, we're looking at a 34% drop. It's very strange. This candle down here had a 30% drop. And then the next candle, which would be the next week, it went up again and then dropped again 30%. That's what these wicks are about. So basically price went like this: down, up, and then all the way back down again. So I'm guessing, if I had to guess, I would say that the GameStop was right there. But regardless, whenever it was, I don't know, GameStop sold all of their tokens in Immutable X. That does not detract from the quality of Immutable X. Immutable X is the flagship of what it does as a scaling solution for NFTs and gaming. That being said, looking at price action, which is, again, that's why we're all here, right? It's not about because we are passionate and love IMX. It's because we're looking for a return, if everybody's honest with themselves. So let's look at that. We had a drop down here to $1.06 in March 2022. Ultimately, we bottomed here at 38 cents. Huge drop, right? We went from I'm not going to count that. I'm going to go right here to 428. We had a 91% drop. Pretty standard in a bear market, quite honestly. But since then, if we look at the bottom, this is actually performing better than a lot of other tokens. Look how quickly this has rebounded. Most other tokens don't look like this. Like not even Cardano looks like this. We got down to 39 cents and we popped up to $1.59. That's actually really good. It kind of looks like we're forming a head and shoulders here, but at the same time, it's hard to really tell because we're also holding the bull market support band. Back here, we popped above the bull market support band. We retested it twice for 2 weeks in a row, and then boom, straight up, retested it again, boom, straight up, retested it again. Typically, the more you retest something, the weaker it gets, but with the strength of Bitcoin right now, I don't see Immutable X doing anything but at least reclaiming this $1.50 area. In the long term, we need to look at support and resistance, right? So if we do get a big pop in a bear market relief rally, we've got resistance here, and we've got resistance, really the biggest resistance is here, which is right in our face right now at $1.12. I honestly, if Bitcoin does take off here in the next few weeks, which I do anticipate it's going to, before trailing off after like the May, June area, we could see something like this, you know, a shoot up to $2 basically. That's a nice even area, a nice even number, big even, straight back down to test $1.12, and then kind of grind sideways right there until the halving. And then halving comes and boom, we're off to the races, right? If you're going to invest in gaming, Immutable X is a great way to go. You know, it's 6 in one, half a dozen the other. And if I'm going to put a half a dozen in, I'm going to buy Immutable X. So let's go to the top here, run a reverse fib just to see what we get. I've got a 1618 at 672, and I've got a 2618 at 1064. Both of those seem like outlandish valuations for Immutable X, and I would agree with you. I would never bank on that. However, I've also seen a gaming crypto run, and I saw UFO, which is a meme gaming coin, do like a 50x in front of my face. So I would not discount either one of these levels, but I also prefer to play more conservatively, right? So I would say probably from where we are now, the 1618, that's a 500% gain. And then to the 2618, that's an 890% gain. So that's a 9x. That's only a 9x. But I don't know. I would feel very uncomfortable not taking profits at these levels. At least 50% here at 672 and 50% here at $10. Could it go higher? Sure. I mean, but this is out of the scope of rational thought when you get up to these points. So I'm not even going to go there. But anyway, still a good return. I think if you're going to put money into a crypto gaming token, this is not a bad one to go with. All right, and finally, the last token, and honestly my most favorite out of this whole group of tokens, is the graph. So the graph is a token that has very, very physical, real value to Web3. I'm going to read what it does because I could not articulate as well as what CoinMarketCap is. The graph is an indexing protocol for querying data like networks like Ethereum and IPFS, powering many applications in both DeFi and the broader Web3 ecosystem. Anyone can build and publish open APIs called subgraphs that applications can query using GraphQL to retrieve blockchain data. There's a hosted service in production that makes it easy for developers to get started building on the graph and the decentralized network that will be launching this year. The graph currently supports indexing data from Ethereum, IPFS, and POA, with more networks coming soon. Essentially, I am not an IT guru, but what I'm going to tell you is that by reading the contextual clues within this, I can tell you I know what an API is. This is essentially allowing a very broad scope of people and types of businesses and types of organizations to enter the crypto market and integrate within Web3. The graph is the biggest indexing protocol that I'm aware of, and it has a price valuation in the previous bull market that encompasses that and shows that very clearly. The graph has retraced, as most altcoins do in a bear market, to over 90% retracement. However, the graph is, as far as I know, monopolizing its particular niche in the cryptocurrency space. If I were to put my bet on one of the riskiest altcoins, I would put it on the graph. If someone gave me $10,000 and they said you could put this on the riskiest altcoin that you can think of, which one would you put it on? I would put it on the graph. Hands down, no questions asked, 100%. Because my second choice would be Filecoin, but I consider Filecoin to be more stable than the graph. One pick, $10,000, my money's on the graph. And that's not financial advice, that's just me. So if you're ready to see quite possibly the most interesting chart that you're going to see today, here it is. So this is the 1 week graph on Kucoin versus Tether. All right. I remember when I first got into crypto here in 2021, I remember watching the graph do this and just being in awe every day of how much the graph was going. Look at this one, just this 1 week candle right here. The graph went up 214% in 1 week. That's insane. That is an amazing return in 7 days time. Think about the stock market. Who gets a 214% return in a week except Amazon during its most bullish time, or Tesla during its most bullish time? This is a shit crypto token. Well, it's not a shit token, but it's a crypto token that can be called a shit coin that has not a lot of adoption, right? That's a crazy amount of price action in that amount of time. I digress. So here we go. In February 2021, we've got a $3 graph, basically. We have a massive swing down here to 42 cents, an 85% drop, before we get a relief pump of 200% to $1.34, an immediate 2-week drop down 81% back down to 25 cents, which immediately popped back up to 67 cents. And now we finally kind of bottomed here at roughly 5 cents. Can you imagine something going from $3 to 5 cents like that? It's insane. However, thankfully, price has basically stabilized in this range, right? Anywhere from 5 cents to, we'll call it 14 cents is kind of like that range that it hovered in. We are now at 14 cents. And we are also, on the weekly chart anyway, we've kind of been pushing against resistance for a while. We broke above it, we broke below it, we're pushing against it again. When this thing takes off, this thing is going to take off. Just look at the chart. You see the down move, you see the up move. This is not a token that plays around. When it goes up, it goes up. When it goes down, it goes down. And based off of what it does, this is a really exciting token for me. I believe $2.84 is an inevitability. I really do in the next bull run. This is not one I'm going to be modest on. I think the graph is a fantastic project, but it is risky. So I can't sit here and tell you, hey, put $10,000 in it. I would say if you're modest, put $100 to $500 in it and see what happens. Me, I'm putting significantly more than that, but we're going to take a look and do a reverse fib here and see what we get. So our 1618 is at $4.65. Our 2618 is at $7.50. Would I sit here in good faith and tell you that I think the graph is going to hit $7.50? Fuck no. But what I would tell you is that from the current price, I do believe it'll hit all-time high again, or at least around like the $2 area. That is a gain of, let's just take it to this candle here at 223. That's a 14x back to all-time highs. It's an 18x to the 1618. It's a 30x. I'm not even comfortable saying 30x personally. And then to this is just nuts. If that happens, I don't even know. That's a 50x. I'm not even going to go there. I'm just going to stick around the $2 area. But I will say again, for something that's that risk to reward lopsided, this is probably the one to get. This and Filecoin. If I had two risky coins to buy, it would be the Graph and Filecoin, hands down. So that's it for this video. I gave you 5 more altcoins. I hope you enjoyed the content. I say this in all modesty. I believe everything I'm saying. This is not a shill. This is just me providing the best information I can after years of research and watching crypto information. So if you appreciate the content, smash the subscribe button, smash the like button, leave me a comment, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and good luck trading.